Hi everyone. Shalom Aleichem, as we say between good people and Jews, as one of the famous saying that one Jew tells the other Shalom Aleichem, the other one answers Aleichem Shalom, as the explanation about that, but let's not get into it now. This week's Parsha is one Parsha, that the whole Parsha is designated to Yitzchak Avinu, because the next week's Parsha we're already starting with Yaakov. The Parsha before was still with Avram. This week's one Parsha with Yitzchak Avinu. And the whole Parsha is mostly dealing about the relationship of Yitzchak Avinu and Rivka, his wife, to Esav and Yaakov, the two sons. And as we learned that Rivka loved Yaakov and Yitzchak loved Esav, and this is how we got into the whole things with the blessings. He wanted to bless Esav because he loved him. That's this parsha. And there's the famous classic question in this whole story: how is it possible that Yitzchak, great man, divine spirit, always one of the patriarchs, we don't have to say anything more for him, should not know who Esav is? He should be able to fool him. And especially we see later when he came in to get the brachot, the blessings. We'll learn, Rashi tells us that he saw the Gehenom open when he walked in, whatever that means. In other words, he knew he wasn't good. So he knew he wasn't good. So why would he give him the blessings? Why did he love him so much? Why do you think he's great? But again, that question is being asked again and again. There's many, many different ways of explaining it. Chassidus itself talks a lot about it, starting with the Alter Rebbe down to all the Rebbes that gave the explanation about what really was going on there. But I had a very nice explanation from a great chassid. The name of the chassid was Rabbi Naftali Perlstein. He was a Chabad chassid that moved from Russia in the early years to the United States of America because his parents were American. He became a rabbi in the big city Baltimore. He was a Chabad rabbi in Baltimore, but he was a great holy man. The previous Rebbe said about him that he never looked up with his eyes to see the tall buildings in Manhattan. He was completely not in this world in a physical way. Very, very special person. There's a lot of stories about him. I'm not getting into it now. He would come to 770 to the Rebbe. He passed away, by the way, at Tafshin Yud Beit. That's 1952. When he would come to the Rebbe, you would never want to talk. He says, here I come to listen. In my community, after talk, here I come to listen. But the rabbis there always try to get him to farbring, try to get him to talk, because he's a great, great fellow. And there's a lot to listen. So they would convince him. And there's many stories about it too. Rabbi Khan tells us stories the way they tried to get him to farbring. And there's some beautiful sparks that we have from those moments when he did farbring. He said some words, even though he tried not to say anything. And there's one idea regarding answer to this question. How did Yitzchak love Esav? He didn't know who he was. So he said a story. To explain, he said a beautiful story. And the story is, at the time of one of the great tzaddikim, his name was Rabbi Elimelech of Lizhensk, very known. He's buried in Poland of today. Many, many go by this day of his yahrzeit to his graveside. Very big tzaddik, a brother of the Rebbe Reb Zusha. Well, his name was the Rebbe Reb Melech. In those days when Reb Melech was in Poland, the Rebbe, he had followers, they say, in the masses of hundreds of thousands. From him after spread all the Polish Hasidus, but he was the one. And everyone came to see this Rebbe. The story I want to say, again, that he's saying the story about Vomelin. In that town, Lizhensk, there was a balagola, a coachman, that he would take people to the Rebbe back and forth. That was his job. But this Balagol himself, this coachman, he was a poyer, he was like a peasant. He never went to the Rebbe himself. He never went to Reb Melech. And as much as he tried to convince him, why don't you go to the Rebbe too? You're taking us to the Rebbe, but you don't go yourself. He said, it's not for me, this business. I don't like that. He was not a big chassid. He wasn't a big Orthodox Jew too, to say the least. He was not in this stuff. He was Jewish. That's the best we can say about him. So he said, I have nothing to do with this Rebbe. Leave me alone. So finally, one time they told him, you don't go to the Rebbe. At least write a note for bracha. Write your name for bracha. He said, you know what? If you're really harassing me, I'll do that. So he writes a note and he gives it to them. Give it to the Rebbe. With pleasure. Have a good day. When the story goes, when they came to the Rebbe, everybody gives his note for bracha. So they gave a note also from the coachman, from the Balagala. The Rebbe looks on that note and he says, whoa, this paper shines. Who is the one that wrote that paper? It's an neshama that shines. And they self-understood it, bracha, etc. And the Hasidim were very confused. This fellow shines. They knew very well who is this fellow. That he doesn't shine at all. On the contrary, he's really not the best to talk about. The Rebbe, Chaz v'Shalom, the Rebbe doesn't make a mistake. So they decided to go look for him, to see what's going on. Maybe it's a hidden tzaddik, maybe something. If the Rebbe knows more than anyone else, he shines. I'm saying the story too long, but the point of the story was they went to look for him, they found him, he was at a wedding, on the other side of the city. He was at a wedding. They met him there, he says, Yosef, what are you doing at the wedding over here? It's your family? He says, no. He said, what are you doing here? He says, when I dropped you off, I went back to my work, and I passed by here, and I saw the Kala, the bride, sitting on the stairs outside over here and crying. I'm a Yid. I felt bad. I went to her, why are you crying? She says, I have to get married. The chuppah is very soon. I committed, I promised that I will give to the chassan, to the groom, I'll give him a talus, I'll buy him a new talus. But I didn't, because I don't have any money. So I'm sitting and crying, I don't know what to do. I can't walk in without a talus. He says, I felt bad. I ran to my house, I had a brand new talus of mine. I came back and I told her, here's the talus, it's a present to you, give it to the chassan. And she was so excited that now we can go to the chuppah. So I became like part of the wedding now, because through me, she was getting married. So that's why I'm here. So the Chassidim said to him, you don't understand what happened. When they gave the paper, the note to the Rebbe, this was the moment he did the mitzvah. And because he did the mitzvah of giving the talus, the Rebbe saw the paper shining. Because his neshama at this moment was shining. You could be whoever you are, but while you do the mitzvah, you shine. And this is what the Rebbe saw. And at this point he explained to Rabbi Naftali, he said this was a story also with Esav. The whole time when Esav came to Yitzchak, he was doing a mitzvah. So because he was doing a mitzvah, he shined. So this is why he saw the beauty of him. He only saw how great he is. Because you know how to make it happen beautiful. He came to do a mitzvah. Later when he came for the bracha, he saw Gehenom, he saw hell in front of him. Because he only came to get a bracha and not to do a mitzvah. So that's why he didn't shine. So this is what he's explained about Bamela. The message of this is you can be even Esav. By the time when you do a mitzvah, you shine. When you do a mitzvah, your neshama glows. It's beautiful. And this is the lesson we have to learn. Whoever you are, whatever we are, we just have to keep on doing mitzvahs. Or when we're going to do mitzvahs, we shine. The neshamas of every Jew shines in a revealed way. Let's all do it. Let's all shine. And let's all make a shiny, beautiful world with Mashiach Tzidkenu. Have a good Shabbos.